Willys Overland Civilian Jeep was created in 1944, based on the Willys MB military Jeep of World War II, itself being based on the American Bantam Blitz buggy concept of 1940. But as the war was coming to a close, Willys started to adapt the Jeep for use on farms and ranches. To do this, they moved the spare tire from the back to the side and added a tailgate. The gearing was changed, a drawbar was added, and a full canvas top. These original CJ prototypes would soon evolve into the CJ2, or Agra Jeep, of which more than 40 were made as experimental models, eventually evolving into the production CJ2A, or Universal Jeep. Additional changes from the military Jeep included a 7-slot grille instead of 9, the headlights were no longer recessed, the transmission was upgraded, and the rear fenders were restyled to allow for a wider rear seat, although only a driver's seat was standard. A huge list of options also included a PTO, winch, plow, mower, automatic wipers, heater, top, and much more. It was 130 inches long on an 80-inch wheelbase and was powered by a 60-horsepower Go Devil flathead 4. Produced from 1945 to 1949, 215,000 were made. Prices started under $1,300, or nearly $300 less than the road-focused two-wheel drive Jeepster Phaeton, just one of the Jeep-based models Willys would start offering at the time, including a pickup and wagon. The CJ2A would be replaced by the CJ3A, with upgraded suspension and minor styling updates that included a one-piece windshield. And as turnabout is fair play, the CJ3A and later models would be adapted back into a military Jeep, in this case as the M38. And Mitsubishi would start building Jeeps under license in Japan, primarily for government use. Production would run through 1953 with more than 130,000 made, including the PTO-equipped Farm Jeep. Now, as part of Kaiser, Overland was dropped from the name for the CJ3B, and the hood was raised to make room for the new overhead valve Hurricane 4, raising horsepower to 70. And naturally, it would also have a military version as the M606. Production licenses would also be sold to companies in India, Spain, Turkey, and later Korea. The CJ5 was introduced in 1955, intended as a replacement for the CJ3B, but that would continue on for some time. A single CJ4 was built as a prototype in 1951. The CJ5 was almost 6 inches longer on a 1-inch longer wheelbase, with curved fenders and more rounded styling overall, and a long wheelbase version arrived a year later as the CJ6, 156 inches long on a 101-inch wheelbase. Around the same time, a two-wheel drive version of the CJ3A was added as the Dispatcher Jeep, or DJ3A. Intended for commercial use, it was the cheapest American vehicle of the period, starting under $1,300, when the CJ3B was getting close to $1,800. The CJ5 would start to be manufactured in Brazil in 1958, along with the full Jeep line, and in 1959 there would be an open-bodied version of the DJ, called the Gala, Surrey, or Resort Jeep. In 1961, a Tuxedo Park luxury package was added in an attempt to move more into the mainstream. It consisted primarily of chrome trim and a vinyl interior, marketed as a sort of off-road sport vehicle. Also in 1961, a 3.2-liter Perkins diesel became available, and in 1963, a 4-speed, and the Willys name would be replaced by Jeep as the brand, not making the model name redundant at all. Starting in 1964, the Tuxedo Park would get a separate CJ5A and CJ6A designation. With prices starting around $2,200, it was nearly $300 less than a base Corvair. The diesel was gone, in the U.S., but Jeep purchased the license to build the Buick V6, a 3.7-liter 225 with 160 gross horsepower. But versions sold in Australia instead got a less powerful Ford 2.5-liter straight-six. While the CJ5 and CJ6-based DJ5 and DJ6 replaced the DJ3A, often called the mail Jeep due to its long-time use by the Postal Service. And the Jeepster would return as the four-wheel drive Commando, essentially a CJ6 restyled to better compete with newer offerings in the segment. The U.S. production of the CJ3 ended in 1968, after more than 155,000 had been built. It would, however, continue on indefinitely in several other parts of the world. For 1969 and 70, a camper was offered that included a third axle. There would also be a limited 469 performance package in the sense of off-roading performance, including a reinforced frame, heavy-duty suspension, locking differential, as well as a dress-up kit and the V6. It was renamed Renegade 1 for 1970 and now included a tire upgrade and bright colors with black stripes. Production was less than 500, and Jeep was now an AMC product. For 1971, the Renegade 2 added more colors and alloy wheels, bumping production to 600. Its success prompted a regular Renegade package starting in 1972, adding a track-lock differential and AMC's 150 horsepower 5-liter 304 V8. Other versions also shifted to AMC engines that year, using either a 3.8-liter 232 or 4.2-liter 258 straight-six, with 100 or 110 net horsepower, all of which required several changes that year, including stretching the hood 5 inches and the wheelbase 2.5. The Commando was killed off in 1973, by which point it no longer looked like the CJ it was based on. And for that year only, there was a Super Jeep, a Renegade without alloy wheels, created due to supply issues. The CJ got a radio as an option that same year, while 1975 added electronic ignition timing and optional air conditioning. The CJ7 was introduced in 1976, fitting between the CJ5 and CJ6 in size. It was 148 inches long on a 93-inch wheelbase, with an updated chassis that improved both ride and handling. There were also minor changes to the styling, perhaps the biggest being more functional door cutouts, changes that would also find their way to the other CJ models, making them all more roadable. By this point, prices were creeping over the $4,000 mark, no longer in the budget end of the spectrum. In 1977, introduced the Golden Eagle luxury package that included power steering, power front disc brakes, air conditioning, a side step, the V8, and Golden Eagle hood decals with matching wheels. There was a Silver Anniversary Edition CJ5 for 1979, essentially a Renegade with special silver and black trim, and a commemorative spare tire cover. 1980 added a Golden Hawk package for just that year that added stripes and gold wheels, and a longer-lasting but still rare Laredo Chrome package was also added, while the Pontiac 2.5-liter Iron Duke 4-cylinder became the base engine. For 1981, the poor-selling CJ6 was effectively replaced by the CJ8, or Scrambler, more of a CJ pickup than a traditional Jeep. It was 177 inches long on a 103-inch wheelbase, but it didn't sell well either, and after 6 years was replaced by the more traditional Comanche compact pickup. That same year, the CJ10 was introduced, essentially just a J10 pickup with CJ styling, primarily used for export and commercial markets, including a short wheelbase tug version as the CJ10A. The V8 was dropped from other CJ models for 1982, and after 30 years and 600,000 being produced, the CJ5 was discontinued after 1983, and the DJ would follow the next year. The Iron Duke was replaced by an AMC 2.5-liter inline-4, raising horsepower from 92 to 105. Being the last of the American-made CJs, the CJ7 would carry on through 1986, when it was replaced by the Wrangler, just as Chrysler was taking control of the company. The new JK Wrangler was 153 inches long on a 93-inch wheelbase, slightly heavier and with less ground clearance. Although it shared some of its body structure, the Wrangler was a move towards being a more road-friendly Jeep. The 2.5-liter 4 and 4.2-liter straight-six carried over, and the most obvious styling change was the square headlights. The Laredo package carried over, but now included a full hardtop, and in 1988 started to gain several more features, including air conditioning, an AM/FM cassette player with rear soundbar, and high-back cloth seats. There were also 2 new packages that year, the fully optioned Sahara and the Islander appearance package. For 1991, there was a new 4-liter 6 with 190 horsepower, giving it better performance than even the V8 CJs. And it was standard on the new Sport package, which also included the high-back buckets and premium stereo. The Renegade also returned, with even more features, including air shocks, fog lights, carpeting, and cup holders. And Automotive Industries Ltd. In Israel began building a spin-off variant for its security forces as the AIL Storm. For 1995 only, there was a Rio Grande package, a better-equipped 4-cylinder version that included air conditioning. But it was the last year of the YJ Wrangler, with the TJ Wrangler appearing for 1997. It gained coil spring suspension and returned to the traditional round headlights. Sport and Sahara models carried over, and the base model was now the SE. Engines also carried over. 2001 got an anniversary edition, celebrating 60 years of the Jeep-type vehicle. Well equipped and offered in silver or black, just over 4,000 were made. There were more packages for 2002, starting with the X, which had the engine and stereo upgrade without the Dana 44 axle. The Apex edition, which also came with the 6 standard, and a CD player as well as a special hood decal. And then there was the Rubicon, for serious off-roaders, with air-locking differential, rock track transfer case, and aggressive tires. 2003 got a new base 2.4-liter straight 4, shared with the Chrysler PT Cruiser, and a 4-speed automatic replaced the 3-speed. And there were even more special editions. The Freedom, which included air conditioning, alarm, metal doors, and a folding rear seat, and the Rocky Mountain and Tomb Raider editions that were add-ons to the Rubicon. With just 1,000 of the latter made, it is one of the most collectible of Jeeps. And more editions were added the next year. The Columbia Graphite Dress-Up Package, and the Willis Edition, a tribute to its origins, with available military decals. The year would also see the return of the long wheelbase edition, as the Unlimited, 167 inches long on a 103-inch wheelbase. For 2005, the Sahara package was gone, but there was a special Sahara edition, which matched the one in the movie of the same name. 1,000 of the numbered khaki and chrome Renegades were made, while the 4-cylinder was discontinued. For 2006, there would once again be a Golden Eagle, and there would be a 65th anniversary edition. There would be an all-new Wrangler for 2007, but it retained the traditional features, such as a flat folding windshield, removable doors, and solid axles. But the long wheelbase Unlimited was now a 4-door. Several inches wider, 2-door models were 164 inches long on a 95-inch wheelbase, and the Unlimited was stretched to 185 inches long on a 116-inch wheelbase. New features included power windows and door locks, navigation, and electronically detachable sway bars, offered in base and sport trims, as well as off-road XS and Rubicon packages, which now included 32-inch tires. The Sahara Luxury package also returned. Power came from a Chrysler 3.8-liter V6 with 202 horsepower, although export models could have a turbo diesel 4, provided by VM Motori of Italy. 2009 added electronic assists, both standard and optional, from hill start to trailer sway control, and a Rocky Mountain package returned for the year. The Wrangler would also be recognized as the vehicle that best retained its value, something it would continue to do. Minor improvements for 2010 included a better soft top. There was also a Mountain and Islander edition to dress up the Sport. The interior was redesigned for 2011 to add more electronics, including steering wheel controls. There was a 70th anniversary edition that was a specially trimmed Sahara package, and a kit would be offered to convert the Unlimited into a JK8 Independence pickup. Then for 2012, it moved to a 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 with 285 horsepower. Special editions included the Sahara-based Arctic and Altitude and the Call of Duty MW3, with not only special colors, graphics, and trim, but cosmetic and off-road upgrades. It would inspire the Moab edition the next year, which was slotted between the Rubicon and Sahara. 2013 models also got new and improved seats, while Australia got an Overland Luxury Edition. Starting in 2014, the Rubicon could be upgraded to a Rubicon X with even more off-road features. Special models included the Freedom Edition, a unique Dragon Edition, and a nicely equipped Polar Edition. The stereo was upgraded for 2015, and the Sport package got more standard features. There would be a 75th Anniversary Edition. There would be a new Wrangler for 2018, but the two models would overlap in order to keep up with demand, with the outgoing model including a Golden Eagle edition. Wheelbases were up 2 inches and length around 3 inches on the new model. The V6 carried over, but was joined by a 2-liter turbo 4 with 170 horsepower. And export models could be had with a 2.2-liter turbo diesel. And once again, improvements were made to make them more highway-friendly. Packages would carry over, including Sport, Freedom, Altitude, Rubicon, Moab, and Sahara, and variants thereof. Still considered a niche vehicle, but in spite of a heavy SUV market, first-year sales would be $240,000. For 2020, a 3-liter diesel V6 was added to the line, and a pickup version returned, reviving the Gladiator name from the 60s pickup. It was 218 inches long on a 137-inch wheelbase, weighing 4,600 to 5,000 pounds, or slightly less than a Wrangler Unlimited, but 700 pounds more than a base Wrangler. Special Wrangler packages included the Black and Tan and the snow-focused North Edition. Starting in 2021, the hybrid 4xe would also be offered, and a V8 returned as an option as well, as the Rubicon 392. A Willys or Willis edition would also return to the line. And for 2023, there was a 20th Anniversary Edition Rubicon that debuted a new grille that all models got with the 2024 refresh. A refresh that mostly included new features to the new 12-inch infotainment system. But there was also a new Rubicon Recon with 35-inch tires, as well as other minor changes to packages. After 80 years, the traditional Jeep is as popular as ever, with prices now starting around $32,000, going from a scout vehicle to farm equipment to a street-legal ATV to a relatively modern SUV. It remains one of the most versatile and most copied vehicles ever, although most of its copycats are now long gone, or went in a different direction. But you can still buy the equivalent of a CJ3 New, and the Wrangler is likely to keep evolving for some time, if slowly. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and like and subscribe.